Uncharted Drake's Fortune was a fun 3D shooter adventure game with story moments that are impactful, meaningful, and overall great, with funny humor and great gameplay that for 2007 was great. And when this game was released, it was instantly acclaimed to a critical masterpiece, and for the time, it was Uncharted, an important game for the PlayStation 3 and a big shift for Naughty Dog, who had been known for delightful 3D mascots like Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter. So when Naughty Dog released this game, it was different, and it was the first game that wasn't made for kids, or kids not generally being the main focus of the game. It was made for teenagers and adults around the age of 12 and up, and like I said before, it was a shift for Naughty Dog. Uncharted 1 is also looked upon as the worst Uncharted game, so me being the curious guy I am, I played Uncharted Drake's Fortune on my PS5 and took a deep dive into this game. And before we get started on this review, I just wanted to say I would really appreciate if you guys could like and subscribe to the video, my channel. It really helps out the channel, and I would just appreciate it so much. So I'm gonna sing. Let's get into my in-depth analysis and critique on Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Development for Uncharted started mid-2005 when Naughty Dog finally finished Jak 3. Naughty Dog was proud and was released to a lot of acclaim. As of December 2021, Jak 3 has sold 2 million copies and overall was great. But there was one problem, not specifically with the game. Well, yeah, there's a ton of issues with Jak 3, but that's a whole nother video for another day. The problem was with the developers Naughty Dog. They thought as if they had no freedom and were just forced to make these goody two-show games just because that's what Sony would make their bread from. But Naughty Dog didn't care and started work on Uncharted. And when the executive manager came to Sony to tell them about the idea, Sony wasn't disappointed. Yeah, you heard me, we got a Disney ending for once. But with Sony now being with the idea of this Uncharted game, development was on its way, and back inside E3 2006, well, you can expect what happened. Yeah, dude, really, seriously, I know this was 2006, but alright, let's just imagine that never happened. But people were really looking forward, and it's hard to see why. I was watching this trailer and it looked great for the time, so when I was doing my research, it's hard to believe, but Naughty Dog being Naughty Dog, they didn't care about what others said. They didn't let the hate get to them, and they worked consistently every single day to improve on this game. Every single day, and eventually as more gameplay and trailers dropped, the hate was dying down. I mean, there were still haters, but not as much. But not to say that there was fans either. And as time went on, Naughty Dog was getting tips from game developers and fans in general. Mostly all of the tips was to differentiate itself from Tomb Raider and be its own thing. And that's what Naughty Dog did. They separated the group from around 60 people for half of them to do the combat and shooting aspect and the other to do the puzzles. Then in E3 2007, Amy Hennig and Evan Wells taught us about some very important things about Drake's Fortune, like the puzzling and parkour was way different than Tomb Raider, and that a demo was coming out on November 8th, and then on November 8th, the demo had finally dropped, and people liked it, as well as some reviews on the internet websites told Naughty Dog some more, and even though the game was going to drop in 11 days, they told their team. After about 2 years in development, Drake's Fortune was finally released to critical acclaim and Game of the Year. Gameplay is what makes the game different to others, and for Uncharted, it falls in the middle of that. The reason being because of the Tomb Raider comparisons, but I'm gonna try to look at it without the comparisons. Uncharted's gameplay is a combination of action-adventure gameplay elements and some 3D platforming sections with a third-person perspective. Why am I telling you this? Well, for you to get a gist of what Uncharted is. I guess out of all 3 of these sections of the gameplay, I'll talk about the combat first. When facing enemies, Nathan can either use melee or combo attacks and guns to take out foes, and the range attacks are pretty good. This was before aimbot became a big thing, so in Drake's Fortune, you have to move the analog sticks to lock onto your opponent. And even though it's hard to learn and sometimes can make you rage, but it's also skillful. Nick can only carry 1 pistol and 1 rifle at a time, and there is a limited amount of ammo per gun. Picking up a different firearm searches the weapon for the new one. Grenades are also available at certain points, and the height of the Iron Man arc can be adjusted by tilting the controller up or down. The player can have Drake take cover behind walls and use either blind fire or aimed fire to kill the enemies. In common with the aforementioned game, Uncharted lacks an actual on-screen health bar. Instead, when Nate takes damage, the screen turns gray. Melee attacks comprise a variety of single punches, while combo attacks are activated through specific sequences of button presses that when timed correctly do a lot of damage. The most damaging of these is the Pacific Brutal combo, which forces enemies to drop twice the ammo they would normally leave. Puzzles in this game are fun and challenging, but also feel unnecessary. They're mostly there just to progress through the story, and some of them are just ludicrous and make you search them up, and it's not like it's difficult. The solution itself is dumb. Like in the second level where you just have to time it, it's just dumb. The game also features reward points, which can be gained by collecting 60 hidden treasures in the game that glimmer momentarily, or by completing certain accomplishments such as achieving a number of kills using a specific weapon, performing a number of headshots, or using specific methods of killing the enemies. Nathan can use these reward points to unlock special options like in-game bonuses such as alternate costumes and unlimited ammo, but also non-game extras such as making of videos and concept art. There are also several references to other Naughty Dog games, especially the Dak and Daxter Easter egg is done to the autosol burning on Nate and Elena's wetsuits, a reference to the species that mixes otter and weasel found in the game, and the strange relic found in one of the earlier chapters, which is actually a precursor word from the same series. Sound designs and music are something that makes a game more enjoyable and replayable. Like in God of War, the music is great and tells you a great representation of what you're going to be doing, especially in God of War 3 when there's lyrics that are telling Kratos, anger and I'll kill them all. And it's safe to say, well, that's what you do in God of War mostly. But for the music, Uncharted does a good job. When the composers, Henry Jackson and Greg Anderson, do great jobs, and the main theme is really great, telling us a representation of what's coming. I'm not a big music guy, but when I hear the rhythms and melodies in the back, shows us of how it's going up and then down like a roller coaster. And that's how Nate life is when he's on this adventure. And you can tell Greg and Henry are proud of the soundtrack. They made Greg said that this is thrilled with some of his favorite OST for Uncharted 1 to 3, and Henry said that when working on this he took inspiration from Resident Evil and Pirates. Artwork, no matter what, is always important in anything. It differentiates itself to other stuff, and even cancer artwork is great. You know what I mean if you watch my Arkham Asylum video. You know. Uncharted, I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's great, just a bit dated, which most PS2, PS3 games are, but for its time, it did a great job. Most of the animations and models for the characters are great, moving perfectly unless if you're on PlayStation now, it's mostly good. And the models are unique and interesting. Nathan wears a basic gray long sleeve, either a quiver thing, and baggy jeans, while other side characters like Sully, Elena, and Eddie wear regular clothes. Nathan Drake, accompanied by reporter Elena Fisher, recovered the coffin of his self-proclaimed ancestor, Sir Francis Drake, having located it from coordinates on a family heirloom, a ring Nate wears around his neck. The coffin contains Sir Francis Drake's diary, which gives the location of El Dorado. Pirates attack and destroy Nate's boat, but Nate's friend and mentor Victor Sullivan rescue the two inside the seaplane. Fearing Elena's report will attract potential rivals, Nate and Sully abandon her at the dock. Following the diary to an indicated spot, Nate and Sully discover in the alcove that once held a large statue, and realize that El Dorado is not a city, but rather a golden idol. They find the Nazi U-boat, which contains a page from Drake's diary, showing the statue was taken to an island. However, mercenaries led by criminal Gabriel Roman, whom Sully owes a massive debt to, and his lieutenant, Atog Navarro, intercept Nate and Sully. Sully is seemingly killed by a shot to the chest, but Nate manages to escape, encounters Elena, and flies with her to the island. On the way, anti-aircraft fire forces Elena and Nate to bail out, and they were separated. After retrieving supplies from the wreckage seaplane, Nate heads towards an old fort to find Elena. Briefly captured by the pirates led to his old associate Eddie Raja. Elena breaks Nate free and they flee to the island's old custom house. After finding records showing the statue was moved further inland, they find that Sully is alive and accompany Roman and Raja. Nate and Elena find and rescue Sully, who have survived due to Drake's diary blocking the bullet. Sully explains he was buying time for Nate by misleading Roman. Searching through the tunnels of the monastery, Nate overhears an argument between Roman and Navarro and Eddie, revealing that Roman hired Eddie to capture Nate and secure the island, with the reward being a share of El Dorado. Following Nate's escape, Roman doubts Eddie's abilities and ignores his claim that something cursed on the island is killing his men, leading him to dismiss Eddie and his crew. Regrouping, Nate and Elena find a passage leading to a treasure vault in which they find the body of Drake, assuming that he died searching for the treasure. They counter the terrifying Eddie and a crew member. Shortly before, they are attacked by mutated humans who kill the crew member despite Nate's efforts. Eddie is killed also. When one drags him to a pit, Nate and Elena escape and find themselves in an abandoned German bunker. Venturing into the abandoned base, Nate discovers that the Germans had sought the statue during World War II, but like the Spaniards before them, became cursed from the statue, causing them to mutate. Sir Francis, knowing of the statue's power, attempted to keep it on the island by destroying the ships and flooding the city, before he too was killed by the mutants. Nate returns to find Elena has been captured by Roman and Navarro. Regrouping with Sully, he fails to stop them from searching the statue. Navarro, knowing of the curse, tricks Roman into opening the statue, revealing it to be that he has a ferocious containing a mummy infected with the airborne contagious virus. Upon Roman turning into one of these mutants, Navarro kills him and takes control of his men. Planning to sell the virus as a biological weapon, Nate jumps onto the sarcophagus and rides it as his airlift onto a boat in the bay. He engages and defeats Navarro and manages to sink both the sarcophagus and him to the bottom of the ocean. Sully arrives, and after Nate and Elena display affection towards each other, they leave the island with several chests of treasure. In total, Uncharted was a very respectable game and a franchise for the PlayStation 3, and it was a major hit for the PS3. Thank you all for watching. Again, hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe. Stay safe, and peace, y'all.